Hey everybody, welcome to my 27-week pregnancy update on Homebirthified. I've tried recording this video a couple times and my memory card kept cacking out, so I have a new memory card. Sorry it's taken me so long to make a new video. My family was away for a few weeks, so I took that time to work as much as possible to qualify for maternity leave benefits that we're lucky enough to have here in Canada. And I also did a lot of self-care, a few massages, some cranial sacral therapy. So I've had a nice few weeks away. Anywho, things to talk about this video. First, I'm going to talk about my 27-week midwifery appointment, which was last week. I met with one of my favorite midwives, Kay, and we had a great discussion about some of the things that were bothering me with our last meeting at the beginning of August. So to recap that previous meeting, basically I had opted to decline the blood glucose screening test, and as part of that follow-up I told her that I would track my sugars 2 hours post meals a few times. So I presented her with my numbers for that and they were all great, so she stuck it on my chart. So should my care be transferred to a doctor, then at least there's some record that I had some due diligence and, you know, probably am not gestational diabetic. So that was out of the way. So far I've gained about 10 pounds, which is not bad, but I already started out this pregnancy about 20 pounds heavier than the start of my previous pregnancies. So I'm a little worried about gaining too much weight. And my blood pressure was, I think it was about 120 on 72, which isn't bad, but during pregnancy mine is usually around the 110 mark. So I feel like Kay is giving me a little bit of white coat syndrome when I see her, which sounds crazy because I know her very well and I'm quite comfortable with her, but I think I'm worried about my blood pressure, and so that drives up my number a little bit because whenever I check it at home, it's fine. What else did we talk about? Due date. So long story short, recap from my last video. When I had my 18-week ultrasound, by last menstrual period I was supposed to be around 19 weeks. I figured I was about 18 and a half maybe, and the actual measurements came back that baby was 18 weeks on the dot. Now with both my previous pregnancies, my due date's always been moved back. I've never been as far along as my last menstrual period date should put me. And most of the time I got bumped back at least a week. So this time, the ultrasound report, the radiologist wrote, 19 weeks by last menstrual period, baby measuring 18 weeks exactly. Mom states that she has longer cycles, but we'll still go with the last menstrual period date, which annoys me because it moves my overdue date up by a week. So, you know, baby will really be 40 weeks and will be treated like I'm 41. It kind of left my midwife last time in a bit of a spot because she didn't know exactly what due date to go by, because if I should end up in the hospital, of course, they're going to say, well, this lady's post dates. Why are you still treating her? She should have been transferred. Anyway, Kay decided that screw all that. She's just going to use December 7th as my due date, which is the ultrasound date if they had actually gone with the 18 weeks that the baby measured. And I'm okay with that. I told her I prefer to have a due season where if the baby comes early, we'll use the earlier date, and if baby comes late, we'll use the later date. And then that way I have the best chance possible and the widest window to have a home birth. The other thing I spoke to them about was basically, this entire pregnancy, I've been a lot sadder than my previous pregnancies. One of my favorite things about being pregnant has been the hormonal rush that I get, and just loving everybody, loving everything, enjoying being pregnant, feeling the best emotionally that I've felt, feeling the best about my body. And I've not had that this time at all. And so I find it really disheartening because I was really looking forward to that. And to not have that so far has really kind of put a bit of a damper on this pregnancy for me. And so I know some of this obviously stems from the fact that my second child's birth was not exactly how I had hoped or planned. And I think the other side of it is that this is our last planned pregnancy. And so everything's kind of the last time. So for me, it's just disappointing that I'm not enjoying it to its fullest. Instead, I feel like I'm kind of mourning it. So it's a constant sadness. It doesn't get any worse. It doesn't get any better. It's just always kind of niggly at the back of my mind. I still enjoy everything that I did before as much as ever. I still laugh a lot. I still have fun. It's just, part of me is just that little bit sad. So I spoke to Kay about that, and she suggested that I increase my omega-3 intake. Currently I take 3 capsules, which works out to about 900 milligrams of EPA, which is one of the things they suggest is good to help treat depression. So I increased my dose to 1200 milligrams, and I think the therapeutic range is somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000. So I have room to increase that dose if I want to. But yeah, we'll see if it helps. It can't hurt. So, I mean, that kind of brings me to the next subject altogether. So this antenatal depression idea. Here in Alberta, we're lucky enough to have a study called APRIN, and it's basically looking at women's pre-pregnancy, antepartum, and then postpartum nutritional intake to see how that affects their children. So they have like various screenings throughout a pregnancy, lots of questionnaires about food intake, and mental well-being. And the last time I went in for my checkup with them, it was around 18 weeks. And they actually pulled me aside because on the sadness scale, I got flagged as being possibly at risk. So it meant that I had to go talk to the study director, who happens to be a psychologist of some sort. And I had to explain to her, like, well, you know, there's a lot of things going on, but I feel like I have a lot of supports. And she's like, oh yeah, I don't think I have to like actively worry about you. But she said, if I'm around, I like to pull people in and make sure that things are okay. So, as funny and embarrassing as it was actually a lovely chat that we had. So I think the funny thing for me is that I never thought that my pregnancy experience, my labor experience with my second child had that big of an effect on me. But clearly it has. I went into that pregnancy and that labor experience expecting it to be exactly like my first. Not down to the wire, but just I expected it to be similar. I expected things to go smoothly. I'm a low risk mom. There's no reason why things should go wrong. So when I had an abruption, everything went out the window. And I think I've downplayed what happened to a lot of people. I got really stuck into telling my story as a script. And I think somewhat to not scare other people and not to scare other people about birth. But I think I was trying to lessen it, and I don't think I did myself any favors by that. So as part of me trying to work through this a little bit, I've done a couple different things. So one, I went to talk to a local birth specialist. She's a psychologist by training and deals with birth trauma. And she also does hypnotherapy. So I went to her and, she helped walk me through the experience. And she made a hypno script for me to listen to as I fall asleep to try and help not only work through and accept those feelings and validate those feelings in my subconscious, but then to replace those fears that my subconscious holds on to with more positive images for this upcoming birth. So that was very helpful. She also offers a workshop, and I'm going to go attend that sometime in October, and I'll do a little in-depth update on that. The other thing I've been doing, a friend of mine offers birth healing circles, so I've been attending those as I can. And that was really awesome because you get to go, you work in a dyad of 2 people, you talk to that other person who you may or may not know as if they were a person involved in that previous birth, or somebody who didn't support you after the birth, or somebody who, you just wanted more from and didn't get it. And so you can talk honestly to that person and pretend they're the person you want to talk to and really move through some of those emotions. And so I found that really healing, mostly because the women there came without judgment. Like, there were no judgments. Everybody was very accepting about, even though it sounds like it should have been a perfect birth, these are the reasons why it wasn't. And these are the reasons why even a great birth can, be harmful to you in some ways. And then I think the other thing I'm going to try is we have the Trust Birth Initiative. Here in town we have a chapter, and that's a movement that started out of the States. I think Kara Hartley is the name of the lady who started it. And they have different topics, but I'm going to go check out a couple of those meetings before the baby comes. Because basically I'm throwing anything at this to try and make me feel as positive as possible about this upcoming birth experience, because I've been really afraid to hope that I'm going to have a good experience again. I'm not jealous of other people. I can read so many birth stories, and I'm thrilled for people who have just awesome births. But I'm jealous of my first birth experience. I want that again. And so it's become really hard for me to pass over that maybe I won't get that experience, because I want it so badly this time. So, a bit of a bummer update. It's not been easy, and I've been really raw. Having my family be away for a few weeks, I think, brought up a lot of emotions for me, because the side effect of not having the lovey-dovey, love everybody, agree to anything, feel great about myself, hormones, is with the sadness, is that I feel really protective of my family, and I want them around me as much as possible. So, that's never a bad thing. And so I hope that this next month will be a little happier. So thanks for coming by. I know it was long-winded. And hopefully the next video will be a little more positive. Have a good month.